Hey guys, welcome to the Derpzilla channel. Today, some general maintenance on the 2019 Ford Mustang EcoBoost Premium Convertible. Hope that's enough words. Anyways, just gonna do an oil change and rear differential. Car's a little over 50,000 miles and we're a little bit over the oil change level. And so what I picked up here was some amsoil oil. They were out of filters at the time, so I picked up the Wix XP oil filter. I would prefer the amsoil oil filter, but yeah, it was out of stock. Also grabbed a magnetic oil drain plug. Hopefully this is the right size. Guess we'll find out. And according to at least AMSOIL, it says the limited slip needs an additive. So this friction modifier, 3.2 ounces of this. I'm gonna pour, I guess, what feels like that amount. Of course, didn't give me any kind of nice pour nozzle, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. But with the differential fluid here, I got these little Capri Sun packs. These are 1 quart. And the 75W90, I believe specs call for 75W85, but this is pretty much what I could find. And I've seen other people use these and it's good. For the oil, I picked up the Signature Blend 5W30. Requires 6 quarts of this. I believe it's 3.6 pints or something like that. I'll have to look that up. I'll let you know when we get to the differential exactly what's required for the differential. But we'll start with the oil change and then we'll go from there. I got the car up on my Quick Jack 7000 TLX lift system. Check up here if you want to see the video on the install of that, how I set it up, bleed it, and get it situated. So I have that up on the Quick Jack, and really pretty simple oil change. We're gonna go ahead and just loosen up this cap, and then we're gonna get underneath the car. We're gonna drain the oil out into my drain pan. We're gonna remove the filter, reinstall filter, reinstall the new magnetic plug right here, and then get it filled up. So let's go ahead and get underneath the car. All right, here we are underneath the car. Here is the oil pan. It's pretty much between the 2 front wheels, and you can see right up there is the oil filter. We're gonna go ahead and remove the oil drain plug. It should be a 15 millimeter. Let's see if I can not knock into the camera here, but make sure you do have your drain pan right here, kind of off the picture. And if you have one of these that actually stores the fluid, make sure you have the vent open and then the bottom drain plug removed, otherwise you'll overflow it onto the floor. I've never done that, of course. That would be crazy, but just in case. So, kind of a weird angle here, so I'm out of the way of the camera. All right, let me reposition, and then if I can get some torque on this. All right, I actually had to get a breaker bar on this thing. I guess the dealer just air wrenched the crap out of it, and this thing was on there pretty good. So I did break it loose a little bit, so this course now is ready to go. And hopefully I don't miss completely and get it everywhere. Spilled a little bit. All right, anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and let this drain, and then we'll get the oil filter removed, get the magnetic drain plug in place, and I'll probably pour just a little bit of fresh oil through here just to flush out anything maybe that's collected on the bottom that didn't quite wash out. So yeah, we'll be back here in a second. All right, I ran a little bit of extra fresh oil through there, help flush out a little bit more, you know, this kind of high miles oil that's been in here. This is the same oil that came when my wife bought this car used from the dealer. And real quick thing to note, take a look at this. This is the drain plug that I took off. Here is the magnetic one. Now, if you see a difference here, this one has a rubber washer or some sort around it. This one does not. If you look closely up here, you can see the washer is still in place. Make sure you remove that before you install the new one with a new washer. Otherwise, you'll have 2 of these rubber things pressed against each other and you most likely will leak. Not good. So, let's see if I can get this thing off. Hopefully not without scratching anything. There we go. And just go ahead and toss that or whatever, or save it. And I'm gonna let it drip a little bit more. and then I'm going to get the magnetic plug in there, and then we'll pull the oil filter off. All right, I'll let this thing drain a little bit longer. It's completely level since I'm on this quick jack. It's gonna drip like this for forever, and I'm actually on a limited time, so a little tiny bit in there I'm not too worried about since I did flush it out with some new stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the magnetic plug in here. This is also a 15 millimeter bolt, and you want to torque this to 20 foot-pounds. So make sure you don't do it like the dealer and just air hammer this thing on here, because you could potentially crack something important, and then you have to get a new drain pan. All right. Feels pretty tight. And I'm gonna go ahead and set up my torque wrench. You know, whatever torque wrench you use, make sure you follow the appropriate calibration and setup procedures. All right, I have my digital torque wrench here. It's the Kwon, set it to 20 foot-pounds. There's a bunch of fancy features that I probably need to figure out with this thing. I'm not super good with this thing. I do kind of miss the mechanical clicking kind, but this should serve my purposes. So it should change colors when I hit the correct torque. There we go, 20 foot-pounds. So the drain plug is installed. We'll go ahead and move over to the oil plugs. I'm gonna get some of this stuff out of the way, and then I'll recirculate this camera to a better position. We'll see if I can get that replaced. If I can't get it off with my hands, I'm sure the dealer freaking power wrenched that on there. I have a pair of these oil filter pliers, which let you get a nice bite into it and then hopefully get that thing removed. All right, I have everything kind of repositioned here, out of the way. Here's the oil filter, and we'll see if I can just hand no, it's pretty tight. So I'll go ahead and utilize these pliers here. Oh yeah. Now, make sure you have your pan correctly orientated, and thankfully it's not gonna be too bad. It's gonna hit this right here and probably drain through here a little bit, so make sure you take all that into account of when the oil comes out. Oh yeah, nice mess. I'm gonna let it drain some here. Definitely wear gloves, because you will be getting oil all over the place, usually. This does make me miss my Subaru, which had a top mounted oil filter. No mess. I'm gonna go ahead and let this finish draining, wipe up this area, and then I'll get the new oil filter staged up. All right, I have this area all wiped down, all this little oil. It did run down here a little bit, and it did run down the pan some. So make sure you wipe all that up, or you're gonna smell some burning oil, which won't be a pleasant odor. And I went with the Wix XP 51348XP. I'm not, saying one oil filter is better than another. I actually grabbed this one because AMSOIL was out of stock of their signature oil filter, and I'll be using their 5W30 AMSOIL oil as well, if you can see that here. And what you want to do is you want to go ahead and fill up your oil filter with oil. So kind of just preload it, and then give it a little bit of oil, just smooth it around this rubber gasket here, so you have a nice flush fit. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna fill this up, and then we're gonna go ahead and get this installed. All right, I filled this up with some oil. I only filled it about 4/5 the way up, but don't overflow it. And then I added a little bit around the gasket. I'm gonna go ahead and install this here. Just make sure now that you have oil in there, you don't drop this and spill your oil. Now this will come from your 6 quarts total fill, so keep that in mind. And just get it nice and tight, hand tight. And there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and get back up into the engine bay, and we'll go ahead and add the rest of this quart. All right, we're up in the engine bay. The oil fill is on the driver's side, kind of the back part through the engine cover here. I have a funnel in place. This is one that kind of just squishes in and kind of locks in place. It's not super tight, but should be good enough. I have my 6 quarts total here. Actually, it's like about 5 3/4 since I do have some in the oil filter underneath the car. I'm gonna go ahead and pour these in. One of these is already open. Of course, I flung it somewhere and I lost track of which one was what. But I'm gonna go ahead and, so I won't keep you around for this, so we'll swing back when I have all these poured in. All right, 6 quarts of oil are in. Here is the dipstick. Make sure you check your oil level. I only have 2 hands, so I'll do it off camera. Just make sure your level falls within the appropriate markings. All right, back in the car. I walked around the car a few times, let it run for a few minutes. Didn't see any leaks, but definitely keep an eye on it. I'm gonna have my wife drive the car around the block, do some figure eighting and stuff to get everything synced in nice and well. But first, go ahead and reset the oil gauge. And should we have to go to this little settings button here? You should get these fancy dancy settings up here. Hit OK on advanced settings, hit OK on vehicle, and there should be an oil life reset. Hit OK on that, and then you hold OK to reset, and then you should be good to go. I don't believe there is one separate for the oil filter, and now you should be good to go. So your oil life should be reset in the car, should track it, but of course you want to record your miles yourself, track it externally, and I use the AMSoil My Garage and track all my oil changes and filter change, everything through there as a second record. This is just kind of give you a general idea, like, hey, I'm past my oil change life cycle. All right, we're getting set up for doing the rear differential on the Mustang. It is limited slip. It is not the torsion on this model here, the EcoBoost Premium. And anyways, as discussed before, got this AMSoil Severe Gear 75W90. And in their documents, they do say to add some of the additive friction modifier here. So overall, we're gonna be doing 1.6 quarts, and then we're going to do 3.3 ounces of this friction modifier. All right, I figured the easy way to get this in the differential is I'm actually going to pour it into this Capri Sun bag here. To stage it, I'll kind of just shake it around a little bit, and then we'll be good to go. I don't have to worry about pouring this in separately. I'll mix it in here. I'll pour this one in first, and then I'll do 0.6 quarts from this one. Kind of hard to really judge with these bags, so I'm just gonna have to, I guess the rule of thumb normally is to fill it until it just starts dripping back out the top fill port, and then you should be good to go. Make sure it is on a level platform, so don't have the front or the rear lifted up, the other side on the ground. It'll throw off filling those fluids. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this poured in here. Now this is a 4-ounce bottle. I'm gonna put 3.3, so I'm gonna do most of this bottle in there. And then we'll get this thing opened up. Make sure you're wearing gloves. This stuff can be pretty funky. And it smells pretty bad. So I poured most of the bottle in there, but I did leave some in there. It's really hard to gauge because these things, of course, aren't labeled. And I don't have it doesn't have to be super accurate. I'll go ahead and I'll cap this back off. And then this thing will be good to go. Let's make sure I do this one first. I mean, it shouldn't really matter once everything starts churning in the rear, but just for consistency's sake. So we'll go ahead and jump underneath the car and we'll drain the old differential. So make sure you can loosen up the fill plug before you get to the drain plug. Then make sure you do not fully remove the fill plug when you remove the drain plug, otherwise it's gonna shoot out like really fast. So you want it to trickle out at least at first, then you can remove the fill plug and let the rest drain out. All right, you can see here, we have the drain plug and then the fill plug right here. It's just a 3/8 ratchet you're gonna need for that. So just a 3/8 with no socket or anything on there. And as mentioned, make sure you break this loose first, then remove the drain so you don't run into any issues of running out of fluid and not being able to add any more. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the drain catch here situated, and then we'll go ahead and get these things opened up. All right, here we are. Drain plug, fill plug. I'm gonna loosen up. I already used a breaker bar and broke these loose, so they're much looser than they were. And 3/8 as mentioned before. And I'm not gonna completely remove this fill plug. I'm just gonna loosen up a little bit more. All right. And we'll go ahead and remove the drain plug. Make sure you have your drain pan situated and you're able to maneuver it relatively quickly. So I'm gonna go ahead and slide this back some more and just hope this doesn't fire onto me. So, getting some paper towel situated. Okay, not too bad. This stuff definitely does not smell good, and it definitely looks pretty nasty. So you know this has, you know, something 55,000 miles on it. Got a little bit of metal shavings, but you know, pretty much so fine you can't really see like chunks or anything, which is pretty normal. On my car, I actually changed it out at 1,500 miles. So this is 50-something thousand miles, so pretty normal. Don't see any fragments, so I think we're good to go. So I'll let this drain and just, I'll go ahead and remove the fill plug now. Help facilitate the rest of the stuff coming out. There we go. And, you know, if you want, you can take a look. You can see just a little bit of metal shavings on here. These do usually have magnet on them, so it looks like it captured a little bit, but pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this drain for a few minutes, and then we'll get this drain plug reinstalled, which is right here after I cleaned it off. And then we'll go ahead and start adding fluid. All right, I let it drain out for a while now. It's still dripping a little bit, but I think we'll be good to go. Clean these up. You can see the magnet is nice and clean now. We'll go ahead and reinstall this plug. They should be interchangeable. They looked identical. And it's 26 foot-pound, I believe, for both plugs. I know that's what it is for the transmission. I didn't really see specific, but that sounds about right. And we'll go ahead and tighten this down. And make sure you use your calibrated torque wrench, whatever that procedure is for you. So, go ahead and grab my torque wrench. It's a digital Kwon wrench here. Make sure you set it to your 26 pounds. And then make a little bit of room here. Still not a huge fan of these digital ones, but you know, it is what it is. Looks like I was getting close there. Looks like it has a little bit more issue since all this thread sealer on it. All right. There we go. 26. All right. And we'll go ahead and we're going to add the fluid up here. I have my Capri Sun bag here. First time I'm using these. Hopefully it works. I snipped the tip off, and I believe I can just put it in there and squirt it in there. So this will be the first quart with the friction modifier already added to it. And just make sure it's in there. And I can feel the fluid going in, so doing something right. It's kind of nice not needing to use the pump. All right, a little bit leaking out. And just make sure, kind of like a juice box, we'll roll it up and get the rest of it out. All right, so first one, it's got a little bit in there, but should be good. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the other one and get that going. So I'll put that there. And here is the second Capri Sun. Oop, hitting the camera here. Now I want to do a little over half of this, which is super hard to gauge. So I'll wait for it to dribble out a little bit. And hopefully it's just not leaking. All right, looks like it's leaking a little bit out, but that could have just been from spilling it. So let's add a little bit more. And then we'll wait a little bit. A little bit. All right. Yeah, I think we're good. I'm gonna go ahead and get the fill plug. Oh, maybe a little bit more here. Should be dripping out a little bit, typically. It looks like this isn't tightening up either, so maybe my torque wrench isn't. Okay, so it is leaking out the top there, as you can see. I'm gonna go ahead and put the cap on and tighten this up. It looks like my torque wrench is not liking all this extra Loctite type material. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten that up, and then we'll get this thing up here. Not a ton of room, but not too bad. All right, so I actually just got my 3/8 driver, and I just tightened up till it felt tight without, you know, damaging it, because it seems like all this gasket crap that's in there, it was throwing off my torque wrench, and it was looser than it should be. So of course, tighten it up, don't Hulk Hogan it, but to get nice and tight. And then once you get back on the ground, start it up, let it run for a few minutes, just make sure nothing's leaking out. If it is, tighten a little bit more. And yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get this bad boy lower down off these quick jacks, check for some leaks, start the car up, and then I'll drive it around the block, a little figure-8 pattern or something like that, just to make sure everything's turned in and everything's lubricated properly. So that'll wrap it up. Thanks for sticking by. Real easy preventive maintenance stuff, I guess general maintenance really. Oil change, filter change, and differential fluid change. So as always, like, subscribe, you know, feel free to hit me up with some comments. Let me know what else you'd like to see on any of my vehicles, tech, gaming, or whatever else. And hopefully this is informative. All right, peace.